when I was a threat to my own children, I didn't get to be in their lives very much. We had to take them away from me. We changed.
What does that mean, you're a threat to your own children?
So at the point when I was the most hated and I had the biggest voice, and it was decided by powerful organizations, political groups and religious organizations that I would be destroyed, that destruction was universal. So it was my jobs, all of them, lawfare that I'd caused you today. You could say you perceived I seriously harmed you with my speech. You can sue me.
Yeah.
And they all lined up and did. So they bankrupted me and I lost our home. And then the British government did a play called The Assassination of Katie Hopkins. There's posters that went up around the country. And then my children repeatedly were reported to social services, the kind of care services, as that I abused them and that people had seen me abusing them. And they were little then, and they had to be interviewed separately about whether they'd been abused. And I had got to a point where it was obvious to any rational individual that the only way to protect the children would be to remove yourself in a sort of final way. And I did leave my house to do that one day, because a mother's duty is to protect her cubs. And lovely Mark found me and stopped me, and he then took the children and took them away. Together, I mean, we worked together. He didn't take them from me. He took them away to safety. He changed all of their names. None of them have the same name as each other. And then he took them to a new place and put them under a new address that I have no part. I own nothing. And then I left to America. And then I never went to any of their schools, not one day.
How, as a mother, how do you process this? I'm surprised you're standing.
I have sparkles on, so all is well. Because it was a while ago, and America took me in and let me be on its roads and its sidewalks and its clubs and Republican events, and it made me realize I was a good person. I thought I was. And America rehabilitated me with its patriots. And now the world gave me back my voice. The world's done a 180 and I now can speak again. And the thing to return to where we were, about why I have such faith in young people, is that universities no longer matter. I totally accept the elite universities here, amazing, and I so see, I so see, like, if you play football here, that really matters and that's amazing. But other unis, our unis, it's over. My kids, without my say-so, having missed much of their lives, they are 21, farmer. She's a tough bird. She can drive a tractor. She has 250 head of cattle that she runs. In fact, she'd like to come out to Texas and be a farmer here. I'm very keen for her to marry an American. Yes. Yeah. Then my next daughter, 20 years old, she's gone into the hospital as a nurse. She cares for dementia patients. Never went to college. My son, who's 17 and 6'4", is a mechanic, is an apprentice at a garage, will never go to uni. And I see that playing out time after time after time. Kids choosing a different route. Maybe they'll do some uni, maybe they'll do some learning, but they are not going to be on campus to get themselves into massive debt, to be indoctrinated by people who look like those weirdos on campus, or look like the liberal women look, like the feminazis 2.0, where the O stands for, oh my God, is that thing really a woman? Right? They are some ugly women out there. The feminazis with their placards. At the inauguration of Trump. Come on, save the polar bear. None of them knew why they were there. My body, my choice. with that body, you don't get a choice, honey bunny.
Katie Hopkins' account highlights the personal toll of living at the center of public controversy. She recalls how lawsuits, media attacks, and organized campaigns against her not only damaged her career and finances, but also forced her to distance herself from her children for their safety. Her story underscores the intense pressure faced by polarizing public figures and how legal and cultural battles can spill into private life. Hopkins frames herself as a target of political and cultural opponents, yet says her time in America and the support of ordinary people there helped her rebuild her sense of self-worth. Her reflections on her children pursuing careers in farming, nursing, and trades reveal her skepticism toward elite institutions and mainstream universities. Overall, her experience illustrates how public scandals can reshape both identity and family life, while exposing the tensions between reputation, media narratives, and public judgment.
Connor, when you see something like that, do you feel embarrassed for Britain as a Brit?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, it's something that's really cut through across the water here. What we haven't talked about is that actually Rose Doherty was part of a group of kind of, let's call them free speech activists and campaigners who met with the White House on a secret free speech mission in March. The Telegraph revealed that earlier in the year. So concerned are this White House about the erosion of free speech across the world, and particularly in Britain. Adam Smith Connor, Lois mentioned, of course, was one of those individuals as well. But I think this highlights how concerned those, not just inside the country, but abroad, are with the erosion of free speech in an ally like Great Britain.
Do you get any comments from Americans here? Do they sort of stop you in the streets in DC and say, oh, hey bud, what the hell's going on at home in your country?
All the time,
Really?
the time. It's one topic all the time that really cuts through here. Between the rape gangs and free speech, it's the two things that really cut through. And it's something that's been obviously promoted and highlighted by Elon Musk very heavily, obviously on X, which cuts through very heavily here as well. But it's a real core concern for this White House. They're really worried about it, and it's something JD Vance in particular has used as his kind of mantle to carry and go out and try.
But Eric says that the White House themselves are guilty of free speech.
I think there's a difference between free speech violations like this one, in particular what we're seeing in the UK and what is happening here. I mean, as Eric admitted himself, he's not seen violations of those being arrested for praying. I think ICE raising something different topic altogether, but to be arrested outside an abortion clinic, albeit in a buffer zone, which is obviously a contested point of law, and whether they should exist in the first place is something completely different.
The statement demonstrates how the debate over free speech in the United Kingdom has now moved across the Atlantic and reached the White House. Connor Stringer's observation that Americans also raise this subject emphasizes how disputes surrounding expression cross national boundaries, influencing political debate, and representing the collective democratic struggle between liberty and accountability. Katie Hopkins' story illustrates the personal consequences of existing at the core of public dispute. She recounts a period when court actions, hostile press coverage, and organized campaigns against her not only harmed her professional standing and income, but also compelled her to remain distant from her children to ensure their security. This illustrates the immense burden that comes with being a divisive figure in public life, and the way legal and societal battles can intrude into the private sphere. Hopkins depicts herself as a person singled out by cultural and political rivals. Still, she insists her experiences in America and the encouragement of ordinary citizens there restored her sense of worth. Her reflections on her children pursuing unconventional careers in agriculture, healthcare, and skilled trades highlight her broader distrust of dominant universities and elite establishments. The account demonstrates how controversies in the public eye can transform both family life and personal identity, while also revealing the strain between personal reputation, media narratives, and collective judgment. The statement demonstrates how the debate over free speech in the United Kingdom has now moved across the Atlantic and reached the White House. Connor Stringer's observation that Americans also raise this subject emphasizes how disputes surrounding expression cross national boundaries, influencing political debate, and representing the collective democratic struggle between liberty and accountability. Katie Hopkins' story illustrates the personal consequences of existing at the core of public dispute. She recounts a period when court actions, hostile press coverage, and organized campaigns against her not only harmed her professional standing and income, but also compelled her to remain distant from her children to ensure their security. This illustrates the immense burden that comes with being a divisive figure in public life, and the way legal and societal battles can intrude into the private sphere. Hopkins depicts herself as a person singled out by cultural and political rivals. Still, she insists her experiences in America and the encouragement of ordinary citizens there restored her sense of worth. Her reflections on her children pursuing unconventional careers in agriculture, healthcare, and skilled trades highlight her broader distrust of dominant universities and elite establishments. The account demonstrates how controversies in the public eye can transform both family life and personal identity, while also revealing the strain between personal reputation, media narratives, and collective judgment.